Hey y'all, this is AL Thick Madame, and this is the recap review for Queen Sugar. So, this episode begins with Blue on the hunt for a history packet that he has misplaced. Apparently, he'll just throw his stuff anywhere and forget where he put it, and then he'll go around asking everybody have they seen it. So, his daddy was like, "Well, we told you about that. Go ask your mama." So, she is in the living room doing some yoga and all this other stuff. And so she told him where it was. He went to go get it. While he's looking for it on the desk in the office, he stumbles across the acceptance letter that he had for that school. And I'm just saying to myself, why did y'all not destroy that letter if y'all really meant that y'all were going to be done with this? Or put it somewhere where he would not be able to find it. Well, Blue ran across it and he read it. And his daddy trying to figure out what's taking him so long and where he at. He come in the room, see Blue reading the letter, and he was like, "Hey, I got accepted into this school and all this other stuff." And so Ralph Angel had to call Darla in there because they got to now have a family meeting. So they have their little meeting, and he was like, "Oh, this school seems like it's cool. Seems like I would like it." And they had to explain to him that he would have to be a thousand and some miles away from them. They would not be with him. Once he found that out, he was like, "Oh, well, this school doesn't seem that cool anymore." So he was like, "If I can't have y'all, I ain't trying to go." So that kind of gave Darla a little bit of a relief. But Ralph Angel, like I keep telling y'all, this man has evolved. I just can't believe it. He was like, I understand that you're scared and that you don't want to be away from us, but, life happens. And Blue was talking about, "Oh, well, Pops, his granddaddy was a farmer. You a farmer, so I'm a be a black farmer too." And so he was like, "Look, son, I understand that, and we definitely need more black farmers out here. But don't you have other dreams and aspirations that you want to achieve?" And so he thought about it or whatever. And at this moment, Blue just like, "Look, I want to be here at the house with y'all. I ain't trying to hit that with nobody else talking about." So Charlie had been in the house for a few days, and Davis is still there. He's packing up, and she seems to be doing a whole lot better. But right now he's making a whole lot of noise, and so she didn't know what was going on. She got a headache, and so she was like, "I didn't know whether or not my headache just had these sound effects that went along with it, or if something was actually going on down here." He is putting a wood plank in the door where he broke that window pane out. And she was just like, "What happened?" She didn't even remember that he had to break the glass to get in to get to her. So she was like, "Oh, I didn't even remember that." He was like, "Yeah, you were really out of it, so I don't expect you to remember that." So she already looking like, "Okay, you doing a lot." Like, she kept looking at him the whole time like, "You doing this, you doing that." Like, everything he doing is just like out of character for her. Cause he over here being handyman and acting like he care, and he just doing a lot. So she's looking like, okay. Like, Davis is really up here, like, making her question, like, who is this? Whose man's is this? Like, for real. Like, he really up here talking to her, like, encouraging her and telling her how proud of her he is, and like, "Well, don't push yourself too fast." And she really, y'all, everybody know how stubborn she is. She the type of person that'll be like, "All right, I feel a little bit better now. Let me go back out here and do what I'm gonna do." Davis was like, "I already know you didn't tell the people that you worked with that you were sick. You ain't even strong enough or want to tell your own family that you've been sick. So I know you ain't told them nothing." So that went without saying. And, he over here talking about, "Well, you wasn't as bad off as me when I was sick. So you all right." And then they had a little trip down memory lane, which again, I ain't here for. I'm telling y'all, they trying to set them up to be back together. I ain't here for it. I'm just not. Like, he really tried her. Like, he tried her. So I ain't here for it. But anyway, they had a little trip down memory lane, and she was like, "Yeah, nothing was worse than Christmas 2001," or whatever she said. And like, he was really, really sick and was looking crazy. I don't know. But anyway, they had a trip down memory lane, and like, he really over here talking like, okay. He talking about, "Oh, well, uh Well, I ain't gonna get to that part yet. But yeah, he really over here talking like a brand new person. It's like, who is this? Who is this? So Charlie has not eaten in the last 48 hours because she's, obviously been sleeping. And when you're sick like that, that's pretty much all you can do because you're so tired. But anyway, he was like, oh, well, I'm going to be bringing up some soup in a little while. You need your nutrients because you ain't eating so long. And so he continuing on fixing the thing, and she looking at him like her face is forever going to be looking cracked. Like, who is this person? Okay, y'all. So anyway, Violet and Hollywood are at the house, and Hollywood has decided that he's going to send out virtual invites to people, inviting them to the real spot online. And he don't know how it's working out or if it's really going to go over well with people, and kind of asking her advice. And so she was like, you've never done this before, so, it is what it is. He got to wear glasses, so he got some glasses on. And so she was like, how are the people's working out? And he was like, I feel old. And so she was like, if you can't see, that's really when you would feel old. So you'll get used to it. Well, Violet don't know where her phone at. And so she asking him, has he seen the phone? He was like, yeah, I saw it around here somewhere. He got the phone for her. And she walked off. So he was like, Violet, who you finna call? She gonna lie, talking about some nobody. He was like, Violet, who you about to call? So she was like, Nova. Of course, she wants to continue to meddle in everything dealing with Blue. Y'all, this episode did the absolute most. And when we get to the end, y'all, when I tell y'all, I was like, I'm done. Let me go take a nap. I had to take me a nap. I was done when I got to the end of this episode, but we'll get there. So she was like, well, you told me to stop meddling. And so he was like, you still meddling. You just going behind everybody back and just using Nova as the person who's still relaying the same information. Like, girl, you ain't did nothing different. You still meddling. So she just want to make sure that everything is put to bed as far as the school is concerned. So she called Nova and asked her to, make sure that all this stuff is going on. Because Nova didn't even know about all this stuff. So Nova ended up calling Ralph Angel. Ralph Angel at the house cutting the grass. So they talking. He like, what you doing, running? And so she was like, yeah, I asked Calvin to pull out my old treadmill. This quarantine stuff that got me spreading like a bad rumor and all this other stuff. And so he was like, yeah, I need to be running myself. So then she bring up the topic of the school. She was like, well, I don't know if I'm supposed to know this or not, but what's going on with that Sitwell school or whatever it's called. And so he was like, oh yeah, ain't nothing going on with it. We decided it's best for him to stay at the house. So she gonna give him a little lecture talking about, oh, well, he needs to be able to be around his own people and he can learn. Yeah, it's an amazing school, but he can learn here and get invaluable jewels and gems from his own people and all this other stuff. And so he was like, are you really talking right now? You just went to Tulane though. So she was like, well, that was before I knew what I needed to know. So you can't really fault me for that. But yeah, and so I was like, girl, you're doing the most. But yeah, it's crazy out here. Well, not long after Ralph Angel spoke with his sister, Violet called, and so he was like, well, news travels fast in this family. So she was like, look, I'm just glad to hear that he gonna be here with us because this is where he need to be. I had to light it to his grandmama because she tried it, and I just don't like how we sit up here as a people and we sit up here and think we got to go off somewhere else in order to be better and to do better when we can do all these things and more where we at. We ain't got to leave to do all these things. Then she gonna bring up a situation where some girl went to school and she like a manager or something at some grocery store or something. It's like, girl, what is we that we're comparing apples and oranges because we already know Blue is slated to do way more than that in life. So anyway, while the conversation was happening, the phone was on speakerphone. And so Violet and Hollywood were basically at odds. And she was cutting her eyes at him and everything because she was like, well, I thought I was going to have to light into you too. And so he was like, no, I was just weighing all options. I felt like it might have been a better opportunity for him. But ultimately, I decided that, he needed to just be here with us. And so he was like, yeah, that's exactly what you need to do. That's what Hollywood was like. He was like, yeah, that's exactly what you need to do. You need to weigh all your options. Like, it was so funny with them going back and forth. But I really hope that stuff like this ain't gonna end up bringing them to a crazy crossroads in their relationship, because they ain't been on the greatest of terms lately, outside of his mama passing away and the real spot not being able to be open. So Charlie is back in bed, and Davis has brought up soup and all this stuff for her to eat. And she was like, I'm kind of in the mood for something else. And he was like, well, that's good, because she actually has an appetite now. It's not like she has to kind of force herself to eat the little soup and stuff he been bringing up there. So he was like, well, I know I can do a lot better what you got your mind set on. And so she was kind of like, she wants something exquisite. She wants something that's, going to be hearty or whatever. So he was like, I think I can whip that up. So she's still looking at him like, who is this? You over here indicate. First of all, you just set it off and came in the house and saved me. You stayed here the whole time. Like, what? Okay, so it gets to the point where, they're just talking, and eventually he was just like, all right, well, I'm going to go cook this stuff. So she was like, okay, why don't I join you? So they're going to go and be in the kitchen and cooking things together or whatever. And Nova is at the house. She gets a phone call from her man, Calvin. And she was telling him how nice he looks in his suit, because he's doing like the private security and all that stuff again and all that. And he's going to be home like a couple of days later than he expected, because some stuff went down. They want him to have something to do with being over like some COVID stuff, which is kind of, a worrisome type of thing to have to deal with, because you are already trying to do the most as it is. But now you're going to have even more dealings with it now. So she was like, okay, I understand what you got to do. Be safe. I love you, all that. So then Micah gets a phone call from his uncle, Ralph Angel, and they're talking. And he, I ain't going to say bayed up, but he was out there in them streets with some girl walking. And so he was like, give me a minute. So Ralph Angel told him the good news, because y'all know how close Micah and Blue are. Micah was so excited. Like, he was just like, oh my gosh, that's amazing news. And because of his upbringing, of course, he's heard of this school. He was like, do you understand? That's an elite school. That's an amazing opportunity. Oh my gosh. And so he's talking to him about it. And then, Micah have said it all the way off. He was like, man, I always felt like if I ever have a son, I want my son to be just like Blue. I'm like, sir, you done went off. Please get through college first, because you done went all the way off. But yeah, he was like, yeah, I'm going to have a family meeting, and, we're going to discuss this. And, a lot of people aren't going to be on board with it, but it is what it is. We doing what's best for him. So they're talking to him, and look, they're going to have a good old family meeting about it. And so now Blue was like, well, I had a lot of toys and stuff that I was playing with, but, there are more important things going on in life. Like, Blue, he been having them nightmares. Blue tired. Like, he ain't here for nothing no more. So his daddy was like, well, I remember when you used to like to play with Kenya, that doll. And he was like, I don't play with toys anymore. That was when I was younger. I'm older now. And so his daddy gave him a Black Panther action figure, if you will. He was so happy to get that toy. And so he was like, I got to think of a place to put it. I'm not going to open it. Like, he said it off. He was like, I'm not opening it. I'm not playing with that. And his dad was like, well, that's good. That's smart. And then he sat it right in front of himself on the desk, front and center. He was like, I think this is a great place for a king to sit. I was like, Blue, don't do this to my heart, because I'm already in my feelings still about Chadwick Boseman. Y'all, and just in case you didn't know, this is a plug. There's going to be something that will be released. I forgot if it's on Netflix or not, but it's going to be about Chadwick Boseman and all this other stuff. But yeah, it's going to be released on Saturday. I plan on watching it Saturday or Sunday if I don't forget and I'm too tired from work, but I'm excited. I had a little moment where I got like a little, sad, because every time I think of him, man, I just get in my feelings. But yeah, that's going to be coming out. So I just wanted to go ahead and put that out there just to make sure y'all are reminded. Like, I think it's on Netflix. I think it's going to be on Netflix, I think. I could have that wrong. My bad if it is. Okay, y'all. So But yeah, that was a nice scene. So Nova is at the house, and Calvin asked her earlier in the day, like, what is she gonna do? Because I think she's not finishing that piece that she was gonna do with Traveling Wild Black during the pandemic and all this other stuff. And so she was like, I'm looking for some other stuff. And as soon as she hung up with him, she got a notification about this guy who was playing sports, and he got severely injured by being beaten by police officers, even though they were kind of trying to hide the truth. It was a situation where there was some good old boys setting it off, doing what they normally do. And so she wanted to reach out to him and see if he would do an interview with her. So she's been reaching out to other people, and trying to see what's going on, anybody who's connected to him that will talk to her. So she's in the process of researching all that right now. So Davis and Charlie are in the kitchen chopping it up, and she asking him, oh, well, how do you think this tastes? And do you think I need to add a little bit of more pepper to this or whatever, and all that? So they're having a moment. And again, like, he is really having her look at him sideways, like, you're remembering all this stuff that I said to you when we was together. Like, what is going on? Like, he really is doing a lot. They is having these moments, and she is just like, and I really feel like she looking at him like, wow, why wasn't he like this when we was together? And I forgot that when they were in the bedroom, when he had brought the soup up, she was watching this show that to me is like Jeopardy. And she was like, this your jam right here. And, you had to answer what is whatever. So he was watching, and the people on the show didn't get the answer, and he got the answer right. And so she was like, looks like you still got it. And, he basically was like really deep into history. Like, he basically was kind of like a history scholar. Like, he was here for stuff. Like, and so he was like, well, it's crazy that, you kind of had to dumb it down in order for me to do what I did professionally. And it shouldn't have had to be that way. You know what I'm saying? I feel like you can be very smart, but you can still be into your athletic situation. Be into your sports and all that stuff, but people can still know that you are smart at the end of the day. But the way, because she was like his representation, his manager and all, like she was like representing him like she did the most when they was together. So that was, I guess, a part of a way that she was protecting his brand. Y'all, so Darla is looking at colors that she wants to have their bedroom to be, and he is just like out of it. And so she was just like, well, what's wrong? And they talking, and he was just like, I mean, it's a big step. We gonna have to go ahead and let him go, because I don't want to hold him back, because at this point, they haven't decided whether or not he gonna go, because Blue done made up his own mind, like, oh, I'm not gonna go because I don't want to leave y'all behind. But that ain't the way it's finna be. His daddy don't want him to be stagnant just because he basically just saying, no, I don't want my family to be left behind. I don't want to leave y'all behind. I want y'all to be with me. So they had a little conversation with him. And Blue was like, well, I've been thinking about it a little bit too. And even though it hurts Darla to hear this, but it's the truth. Blue really is interested in this school. And his daddy was like, you'll be able to come home on the weekends and during holidays. So, you'll still be able to see us, but not as much. You'll just be there. You'll be living in a new environment. You'll be living with your grandmama and all this other stuff. And yeah, it was just a lot, but it got to a point where he was like, I think I can do it. So he was like, well, we're going to have a family meeting and talk to everybody and let everybody know what's going on with us now. And you could just tell by the look on. Y'all, they almost got me. When they got to the end of this scene, they almost got me. Darla, wiped away a tear when she basically heard him say, yeah, I think I would like to go. And Ralph Angel, that tear was about to come. I was like, don't do it. Don't do it. And he turned around and the tear fell. I was like, wait a minute, I'm tired. Y'all about to make me cry. I've been doing good all season. Y'all been about to get me all season. Don't do it. So I'm getting emotional, not just thinking about knowing good and well this is a TV show. But y'all, I was like, please don't do this. So anyway, Davis and Charlie are eating. and they're just talking, and he just want to know, what you plan on doing. I know that don't nobody know what's going on with you and all of that, like I already said to y'all earlier. So hold on for me. Yeah, so she was unaware that he was so into eating healthy and doing what he was supposed to do. And so he was like, well, you taught me that when I'm on the road that I need to eat healthy. Like, she didn't seem to really know that he could really throw down in the kitchen like that, and that he really does keep up with what he eat. And so he was like, no, I had to learn early on. I can't just sit up here and just grab some fast food all the time and think that's what it's finna be, because no, that ain't it. And so she really looking at him like, you listening to me? What? So yeah, I'm just like, girl, you gonna be confused this whole episode. Like, she really keep looking at him like, what? And so he was just like, look, you have to use this as an opportunity to, get a handle on your health. You were sick, and it is what it is. And y'all, while they was in the middle of talking, like, Ralph Angel and them calling her. And so she was like, I am going to have to face them, because we got to, it's the day of our family meeting. So I'm going to have to talk to them. Try. Nova done got in from running, like, outside. I don't know where she was. I'm like, girl, you was just running on the inside. Then you came in from the outside with your mask on, because you still can't be outside, even out in the air, apparently, or at least that's what we were told initially, exercising and not have a mask on. So she come in and she get a phone call from the guy who had been injured, the student. And, at first he was acting all creepy, like breathing on the phone. And she was like, you know what, I'm about to hang up the phone. And so he was like, no. He introduced himself and was like, you called me, I was returning your phone call. She was like, oh my gosh, yes, thank you for calling me back. And so she was like, well, can I ask you a few questions about what happened to you? So they go into that. Y'all, they had a family meeting, which of course is by Zoom or whatever video messaging system they was going to use. And so everybody tuned in, and they were like, Blue has an announcement to make. And he told everybody he was going to that school. Man, it took everything in Vine not to just get up and walk off and look frowned up on the screen and everything. Like, she faked the funk, something terrible. And while, everybody individually was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy for you, Blue. And then it would click off, show the next person being happy for him and all this other stuff. She over here telling myself, oh, I know I can't show right now. I hadn't been feeling well lately. But I'm like, girl, you lying something terrible. That heifer got off to the side and was texting Ralph Angel like, we going to have to talk about all of this very soon. Done went off. And then, like, when he finally got the text message, he looked down at his phone and, like, the smile was wiped off his face because he already knew what it was. I was like, girl, you doing the most. Y'all, so later on, it's nightfall. Ralph Angel outside, he on the phone because his aunt called. He looking at the phone like, I don't even want to talk to this heifer right now because she finna try me. So they on the phone. So she was like, I thought we already discussed this. I thought you said that boy wasn't going. He don't need to go up there. So he was like, look, I know what's best for him. I'm doing what's best for my son. Man, she started going all the way up. You don't know nothing. He's just as much as my son as he is yours. I raised that boy. I did up, man, went all it. Man, Ralph Angel had to set it off, y'all. He put a dagger through my heart when he said what he said. But I mean, it's the truth, but still, woo, child. Ralph Angel was like, that's not your son. That's my son. You ain't got no kids. You ain't no parent. I was like, oh my God, sir. Ooh, I felt like he shot me. Woo, Lord, it was shots fired, something terrible. He went all the way off on this heifer. And, he was like, I'm trying not to hang up on you, but I was just like, when he said that she ain't no parent, and I mean, he was like, look, I understand what me and Darla was going through. I've been locked up and not doing what I'm supposed to do. We appreciate all that, but you ain't his mama. That's the problem. You think you his mama. You ain't his mama. You ain't his aunt. You ain't his grandmama. You ain't none of these. You really think you this boy's mama when you ain't. Like, he was like, no, you ain't the mama. So calm down. I was like, oh my gosh, Mim, you ain't have to set it off like that, y'all. And I saw what they did before they even got to that scene when they did the meeting. Charlie over here saying her congratulations and she coughed a little bit. I'm like, girl, get your life together. You gotta girl, don't be trying to rush out into nothing. Cause you over here coughing and some more. Ain't nobody got time. So anyway, everybody reminiscing and trying to figure out what they're gonna do. Davis is leaving, and he's like, I can come back. I will drop like she really was like, well, I thank you for doing all this stuff for me. It was like, you do know I will drop everything. I don't care nothing about none of this stuff. Like, you will always be a priority. She looking shocked, like, what? What is going on? Like, he just said it off, let her know, like, you it. Like, I don't care what's going on in my life. I will always drop everything to come to your rescue. I will always be here. I'm here. It is me. I'm like, sir, you done went all the way off, y'all. So the end of the episode is here. And y'all, my light to set it off because it's tired of this spirit because y'all the most happened. Okay, y'all. So, the people, Nova met up with the young man, right? And so they talking. Y'all, we get down to the meat and potatoes of it all. And so, they tried to, make it seem like, oh, well, his family tried to cover it up. So I was like, oh, well, he fell down some steps. That's what happened to him. But that's not what happened. He got beat up by the police officers. Well, she was like, well, who was the person who did it? Lord have mercy. Why? He said it was the person that you thanked in your book. I was like, who? Wait a minute. I was like, wait a minute, y'all. Then my mind started to just think about it. I was like, wait a minute, don't do this. Don't even do this. I'm tired of my spirit. I was like, don't do this. Please don't do this, Ava DuVernay. Please don't do this. Y'all, the last person who came and beat him down, who he believes is the person who caused his spinal injury, that has him in a wheelchair, is Calvin, Nova's man. That boy said, I would never forget the face of the person who did this to me. I was like, somebody please. Oh, God. I'm so glad I was sitting down because I would have been in the flow. Oh, my gosh. Nova was over there crying. And I was like, oh, God. I don't think she could breathe no more. I was like, girl, you might as well snatch that mask off. Snatch your clothes off. She was tied in her spirit. Do you hear me? I was like, oh, God. Somebody please. And he just sat up and said he ain't never done none of this other stuff before. He's witnessed stuff. And Nova has scolded him for even witnessing stuff and not even speaking on it. Despite the fact that, if you speak on stuff like this, they'll, come after you and all that. But he done actually been a part of this and he lied. Because he knew if he had told the truth, Nova would been like, I ain't here for that. Bye. But yeah, y'all, thank y'all for tuning into this recap review. Y'all, I cannot. They tore my nerve down with this episode. The most happened throughout this entire episode. What y'all think about it, y'all? I'm going to be back a little bit later on with some more stuff. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this. Y'all be safe out there, and I'll see y'all later. Bye.